This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
The World of Remnant is a world filled with creatures that seek the destruction of humanity and its creations. These creatures are called Grimm. To combat these destructive creatures, humanity took up arms and vowed to protect the world as huntsmen and huntresses. Similar to humans, the World of Remnant is also home to Faunus-kind, human beings with one key difference, that of having one known animal trait, like a cat's ears or a monkey's tail. Despite the discrimination that they may face, they're still part of humanity as they exhibit all the qualities that humans possess. Then we have the DC multiverse, worlds filled with heroes saving people left and right and villains reveling in the chaos that they ensued. In this crossover, here's the DC heroes and villains as citizens in the World of Remnant. Greetings everyone, this is Under the Sun and I'm your host Riku. For an explanation about crossovers, check out episode 1 for context. RWBY, by way of Rooster Teeth and DC Comics, have already created a crossover story between the two franchises. It features a few of the DC heroes as natives in the World of Remnant, or at least in the universe where Remnant exists. It would be too easy just to copy and paste everything in that crossover story and be done with the video. But I'm not going with that. So, here's how this crossover episode will go. We will follow the predetermined rules of making original characters within the World of Remnant that was established. Meaning, the names should be in line with a color like, say, soot paint or red brass. Yes, if their original names don't fit the rules, then their names will be changed to best fit them. But the original names becomes their preferred name or aliases. For example, Fred from Big Hero 6, his name won't be Fred, but rather it would be his alias, as we find a better name suited for Fred that fits the RWBY character creation rules that was established a long time ago. Their semblance should also be in line with what we know of the show so far, meaning there is no semblance about elemental manipulation, as that is solely exclusive to the 4 seasonal maidens. I know that the Vasilius brothers' semblance contradict this statement, but as we have not seen this semblance in action within the show, we're pretending that it isn't canon, okay? Let's start with one of DC's Green Lanterns, Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner gets to keep his name as Kyle means a narrow split of land. His color association would be brown, as land can be either green or brown. His race would be human, and his weapon is a shield-like lantern that uses hard light dust both for added defense and makeshift offense, like projecting something that Kyle drew that he can control with his semblance. Speaking of semblance, his semblance is puppetry. He can control hard light constructs, one at a time, that he has drawn and deposited in his shield. And of course, his occupation would be as a huntsman. Up next is DC's Catwoman, Selina Kyle. Some sources say that Selina means moon, so her color association would be yellow. With that reason, she also gets to keep her name. She is a cat faunus with cat claws as her trait. Her weapon is a fire dust infused whip that she wears as a cat tail. Her semblance is light feet. With it, she can move around without emitting a single sound. Her occupation? She is a thief. Next up is DC's Captain Marvel or DC's Champion Shazam. Name William Joseph Billy Batson. Some sources say William is a color in the Green family, so his color association would be William. And with that, he also gets to keep his complete entire name. But he prefers to be called Billy Batson. He would be a faunus, a tiger faunus, and his animal trait would be tiger fangs. He has no weapons, and his semblance is lightning infusion. He can absorb electricity when he's in direct contact with it, but unlike Nora Valkyrie, who can enhance her muscles when electrocuted, his semblance does not enhance his body, but rather he can dish it out as soon as he makes contact with the enemy. Basically, he's a human stun gun. His occupation? He's a child. He's 11 years old. Come on! Next up is DC's resident guy in distress that Wonder Woman has to save is Steve Trevor. Some sources say that Steve means crown, so his color association would be gold. And with that, he also gets to keep his name. He would be a lion faunus whose animal trait is a lion's mane. His weapon is any kind of gun, but he mostly favors shotgun that has a bolo knife attached to it. His semblance is tactical mind. He can see the bigger picture in any given battle or fight. And his occupation, he's a military general. Next up is DC's Black Canary, Dinah Lance. Some sources say that Dinah means valley, so her color association would be either brown or green. I went with green. And with that, she also gets to keep her name. She would be a canary faunus with canary talons for feet. Her weapons would be gauntlets that have electricity dust in them. Her semblance is canary cry, which enables her to scream as loud as she can and deal damage. Her occupation would be huntress. Up next is DC's Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. His color association is green, as Oliver is the masculine name for the name olive, which refers to the olive fruit. He is human, and his weapons are bow and arrows. His arrows are special because their tips are dipped in dust particles. Like say, he has a fire arrow whose tips are dipped in fire dust particles. His semblance is homing, wherein he can use projectiles to home in on the enemy within his sight. He is a huntsman and also a businessman. Up next is DC's original Kid Flash, Wallace Rudolph Wally West. His color association is red, as Rudolph refers to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. A bit of a stretch, but it still follows the established rules. He is human, and his weapons are simple gloves. His semblance is supersonic that lets him run at supersonic speeds. His occupation, he's a huntsman in training. Next is DC's Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes. Now, Jaime Reyes does not follow the established rules, so he would be known as Turquino Jaime Reyes. His color association is blue, as Turquino is Italian for blue. He also prefers to be called Jaime. He is a beetle faunus with beetle antennas as his trait. His weapons are dual swords that he can combine to form a beam projector. His semblance is presence, and with his semblance, he can sense the presence of other things like Grimm and people at a certain radius. His occupation is a huntsman in training. Then we have DC's Booster Gold, Michael John Carter. Michael John Carter does not follow the established rules, so he would be known as Oro Michael John Carter. His color association is gold, as oro is Spanish for gold. He is human and his weapons are gauntlets with hard light dust in them. He can conjure up balls to throw as projectiles or shields to protect himself. His semblance is red zoom. He can use his eyes to look further ahead, but his vision literally turns red. Basically, he can see in infrared. He can only see in infrared when he uses his semblance to zoom his field of vision. His occupation, he is a huntsman. Up next is DC Static Shock Virgil Hawkins. Virgil Hawkins does not follow the established rules, so he would be known as Aceta Virgil Hawkins, but he prefers to be called Virgil. His color association is silver, as Aceta is Spanish for steel, and steels are colored silver, in my opinion at least. He is a hawk faunus that has a hawk's beak as his trait. His weapon is a metal board that converts into a cannon gauntlet that fires electrical balls. He stands on the board and levitates himself with the gravity dust inside it. His semblance is magnetism. He can attract and repel metals from his person. He can choose what metals he can attract and or repel at a time, unlike Pyrrha Nikos' polarity, wherein she can control metals at any given time. His occupation is a huntsman in training. Next is DC Stargirl Courtney Whitmore. Her color association is white, as Whitmore just means white moor, so she gets to keep her name. Her race is human, and she is human, and her weapon is a staff with a star sculpted on top of it. It can create fire, water, and earth-based projectiles through the dust inside the staff, and a shield through the hard light dust inside the star in the staff. Her semblance is undiscovered, and her occupation is a huntress in training. Then we have DC's Vixen Marie McCabe. Her color association is blue, as Marie means of the sea, so she gets to keep her name. She is human and her weapons are dust-infused claws. Her semblance is animal mimicry, making her able to befriend any animal she can find, and when she touches them with her bare hands, she can use their inherent abilities to her advantage. Say she touches an ant, so she gets the ant's ability of being able to carry 5,000 times their own weight. Her occupation, she is a huntress. So that is all I have for today for DC Comics characters as citizens in the World of Remnant. Now, I may have a couple of issues with the Justice League crossover story with RWBY, but it does not take away the enjoyment people may have had with the crossover story. And as always, thanks for watching. Ciao, ciao!